After 2 years of waiting, yesterday finally saw the release of Skills 2.0 for Payday 3. And I've got to say, as you'll see from the title and the thumbnail, I have loved this update. It is not a perfect update, but if you watched my stream last night, you'll know this already. You could kind of see the fire igniting behind my eyes in a way that I don't think any previous Payday 3 update had quite managed to accomplish. The game still has things that need to be fixed. It needs more RNG in its core heist. We need more content generally. There are fixes and improvements and tweaks, sure, that the game still needs, absolutely. But I have to point to this update as what feels like the biggest and best step forward we've had, possibly since launch, but at the very least in the last year or so. It just feels like one of the big issues people have with the game has actually been crossed off. It needs tweaking, it needs adjusting, as I've said, but overall, it is a strongly positive update from my perspective and from a lot of other people's perspectives. But before I get into the update and talk about it, that's not going to be my face for the whole thing, don't worry, we are going to actually play the game a bit. I do just want to talk about the community as a whole for Payday 3. I think this is an important thing to just discuss at the start of this video, because my opinions on it have only gotten stronger in the last 24 hours. And if you don't want to hear this bit, you might feel similarly to me anyway, so feel free to skip ahead in the chapter markers if you don't want to hear this. But I think it's important and needs to be said. I don't know at what point it happens, because it's not just true with Payday 3, it's true with a lot of wider internet culture, but there is this inability from people who dislike things about a game to stop themselves from then throwing it at other people who like the certain thing and telling them they're stupid for liking it, or they're paid to like it, or all this stuff. There is a growing conglomerate of people who feel it's not just necessary to say they dislike something, because that's fine, you're entitled to your opinion. If anyone's telling you you're not, they're idiots. But the way in which they handle that negative opinion, it just doesn't serve anybody. If you're annoyed about something and you make someone else annoyed, what have you accomplished there other than to make more people on this planet sad? Doesn't feel like you're really gaining anything there. I finished my stream last night, and like I said, genuinely felt really excited about the future of this game, because this update actually felt like a proper shift, a real serious one. And I know there are people who liked Payday 3's original skill system, but as I've said before, you've got to be aware that with a game like this, you kind of need to do systems that the majority of players are going to like. If most people are saying they don't like the skill system, you've got to try and work on that. That is just the way of it. If you did really like the old skill system, trust me, I get it, that must suck for you, and I do feel for you, but you have to play to the majority. That is just the way it works. And judging from what I've seen in response, from how I'm feeling, from how other people are feeling, the majority seems to really like this update. But what you shouldn't then do, especially if you find issues with the update or problems you want to talk about or ways in which you disagree, is throw that at someone's face who likes it and goes, you are condoning this, you like this thing, you should stop promoting it because all you're doing is promoting a bad game. Why do we need to be extremist on either end of the argument here? Why can't we have a nuance in the middle? I've had a policy on my channel for a very long time, which is that if you disagree with something I say, you have a criticism to some part of the content that I talk about, I am more than happy to see it in the comments. When you start insulting me or people I know, that's where I draw the line, because it just is not necessary in this day and age, if any day and age, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I just want to ask you something. If Payday 3 was to answer every single query, if it was to fix every single problem, which it's on the way to doing, do you really think the community is going to be happy overall? Because I genuinely think we're at the point now where if Payday 3 fixed every single problem it had, there would be people in the community tearing it down and saying it's not what they want. It's too much like Payday 2. It's not enough like Payday 3's old vision. It still has an identity crisis. All this stuff that just gets thrown around. It just begins to feel performative. I think back to when I was not feeling so good about Payday 3 and all the different parts of it, and there were big parts of the community that were still promoting good stuff. You had community days, you had all this stuff that was encouraging everyone to play together. If I didn't feel like engaging with it, I just didn't engage with it. I didn't go over to them and go, why are you being positive? This is being handled terribly. Because it doesn't help anybody. You don't need to do that. So the point of just me putting this bit in at the start is to just illustrate that I've had quite a few people throw stuff at me in the last 24 hours for saying I like this update because apparently that makes me a shill again, or I've been paid to give my opinion. I quit the Starbreeze partnership because of how they were treating their devs. Do you really think I'm going to accept a paycheck from them to promote a Payday 3 update? Get real. It just really boiled my blood to the point where I almost didn't make this video because I was like, I don't think I have the energy for this. You know, I've barely uploaded in the last few months. I said I was going to come back and then didn't properly. Whoops, again, sorry. This just makes me wonder, should I bother coming back at all? I'm going to, but like, we can't be a community if we don't actually act like one. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I want people to keep discussing them, and I want everyone in the comments to tell me what they like and dislike about this update, because I genuinely am really intrigued, and I want to know what's good and bad, because there might be things I've missed. This is a very fresh reaction. It's a work in progress one. But if you're going to do it, just be respectful. Don't mock someone for liking it. And on the other side of the coin, if someone's moaning about it but they're being nice about it, don't mock them either. I feel like in this day and age, we've lost the attitude of respecting other opinions. And, you know, we're not going to function well as a community for this game if we can't at least listen to the other side without mocking them. I just wanted to get my thought piece out there. I really wanted to put that in there because I think it's important to note that despite me not feeling really good about Payday 3 for a long time, this update brought me back in and brought me into excitement again, and that feels like it's all washed away because of the way certain people choose to behave. So please, just when you're going to say something that is a little bit too negative towards someone, maybe take a step back, just have a think, do you need to say it in that way? Because I don't think you do. I really don't. But with that in mind, let's get into talking about this update. Now, as I've said in the intro, the biggest thing about this update and the thing I'm going to focus on here is Skills 2.0, because Skills 2.0 has completely overhauled the skill system. It's given you a tree-like structure from Payday 2, and it's given you a lot more ways, at least I feel, to specialize into certain skills. Now, we talked about this about 2 months ago when they first revealed the skill tree build. I ran through it, talked about all the skills, and thought they were really, really cool. Obviously, because I went about 60 days without uploading, again, I forgot a lot of this stuff. And so last night, my stream was very much trying to familiarize myself with what was going on here. What were the skills? What could I combine? What could I synergize? And just trying to come up with some builds. And I genuinely ended my stream last night being like, there's so much more I want to do here, which I really liked. You know, it's nice to finish a stream and be like, oh, there's more I can do with this update. So I'm quite excited about diving in and talking about it in a bit more detail here. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to start by pointing out the few critiques I have with Skills 2.0 because I do have problems with it. And then after that, I'm going to just talk about everything I like about the update because there's a lot of good stuff here, I personally feel. So, my first issue, this is personal to me. I don't think I've seen any other person talk about this online. If they have, then sorry, I might have missed the point. As someone with quite a big background in maths and figuring out the numbers and working out how things work behind the scenes, I really think it's a waste of Payday 3's new system to not put points on screen to explain what's going on. So let me explain this. I have a new camera I can put up here just to make sure nothing's covered for the moment. I'm very small on the screen. This is very weird. But just to point it out, you can see the trade broker skill beneath me. So each hostage you trade counts as one additional hostage. For every 2 skills equipped in the Puppet Master branch beyond the first, that count increases by 1. Now, first off, it's not super well explained if they mean each base skill and A skill counts separately. Based on my testing, they do count separately, but they should really mention that. But also, I think it'd be great if at the bottom of that skill it said, your current count increase is blah. So tell someone how many more trades are being added on based on the current number of points you have. So if, for example, in this build, I only have this many skills equipped, it might say your bonus is currently 3. Whereas once I add all the skills back in, it goes, oh, your bonus is now 6, or whatever it might be. I think it's a bit of a pain that for that, and not just that, there are other skills within here that I feel very similarly on, but just some base stats at the bottom to say, your charges count for this much, or your medic bags have this many charges in total, or your damage boost with handguns based on the handgun skill, which is over here, your handgun is damage is blah. Just to give you a fat number so you can see exactly what is being changed based on your skill points would be great, because they've obviously got that mechanism working in the background so it can be executed in game, right? So somewhere on the back end in the numbers and the systems, it will have that number worked out already. So just display it for us. I get that might take a bit of effort to try and get it to display correctly, but please do, because I think it will make this skill system so much more user-friendly. I just think about treating someone coming into this like they're an alien who's got no clue what's going on in Payday 3 and making sure they have got every single bit of information they can have. Because me personally, last night on stream, if you watch, I literally had a whole maths thing up on the screen. In fact, I think I have the text here. Yeah, this. Horrid colouring now I look at it, but like I was trying to work out all the intricacies of the numbers just so I could figure out how strong it was going to get. So I think it'd be a good idea to have those numbers on the screen so I don't have to worry about that, because not everyone's got enough time on their hands to start doing stupid maths calculations. I realise I'm a bit sad for that, but it was fun to experiment at the very least. The other one, and it's very, very small, but I noticed some of the people like Noli have talked about this, but I think it's a shame that in some of these sub-trees, there are skills that don't blend well together. For example, if I look for the tree involving dodge, here we are. So the ghost sub-tree in Ninja. There are some really decent stealth skills in here. Unalerted guards can be melee to kill them instantly, or the skill from previous skill system where you use one lockpick jiggle, the lock opens immediately. But lumped in with that are dodge skills, which, you know, if I'm trying to get up to a stealth build, if I go back to my stealth build here, to get to the skills I wanted, I didn't want dodge skills, because I've noticed, unless I can turn it off, maybe I can, there is a permanent number on screen as to your current dodge amount. I tried to play stealth with that skill activated, and it was incredibly annoying having that number there. So I have had to dump points into other skills that I do not need. I'm not using SMGs or smoke grenades, but I had to do that just so I could get up this tree, because there weren't other skills in that tree that were worth getting to get me up there. Does that make sense? Dodge should have had its own sub-tree, and there should be more gathered stealth skills. I saw quite a big criticism that stealth had suffered in this update. I don't personally believe that, because even though the Scrambler perk deck has been removed, so you can't now put ECMs next to cameras to turn them off, I did always think that with the build I was making, where I had, 3 cameras on loop, 2 blocked with ECMs, or 3 blocked with ECMs with Armour 2.0 in the mix, you were a little bit too powerful solo. I did feel that, so I don't hate that that's gone. But also, stealth-wise, they've now changed it so that you can have up to 4 cameras looped at any one time. Then you also throw in the mix that you can throw throwing weapons while you're in unmasked mode, and you can do an unmasked stealth and still kill the camera guy. There's some really good synergy still with the stealth skills. Definitely, in terms of balance, almost all the skills here are allowed, but that was technically true with Payday 2 anyway. No, that was kind of the way it works there. So I'm not too bothered by that. So for those of you saying they think stealth has suffered, please do let me know down in the comments what you would change and what you would add, because maybe I'm just not seeing it. But I personally think the things we've got in replacement for what was removed, like for example, now you can hack a guard's radio every 20 seconds rather than every 60 with the ace skill here, and the radio hacks last for twice as long. I think originally it was 5, now the base is 5, and ace is 10. Which means by the time a god has finished being stunned, it's only 10 more seconds so you can stun him again. That feels almost too powerful, you know what I mean? It's definitely a problem with the overall system about overpowered skills, but I just think the trade-off is fine for stealth. Maybe that's a hot take. But the other thing to mention, and I'll talk about this more in depth later, is the most common critique I've seen, and it's definitely a very valid one, is some of these skills are just a bit too powerful. Now, it's a double-edged sword, because if the cops were strong enough to counteract them, it might be okay, but you don't want all the cops to be so hard that then you have, as I've said, this ongoing battle where you make players stronger, then make cops stronger to counteract it, then you make players stronger, then you make cops stronger to counteract it, to what Payday 2 did, and it ended up just going into a cesspool of damage stats and damage numbers, and I didn't love that about that game. So if Starbreeze decide, looking at this and the feedback, to nerf a few skills, I'm totally fine with that. We don't need to have this constant ongoing battle between making us stronger and the cops stronger. It's just not necessary. Let's try and balance it a bit better. But for me, personally, it's taken them 2 years to get a new skill system out, and I think, on the whole, what we've got here is incredibly strong. I think it actually allows you to mix things together now. It makes having a throwing knife build interesting, which is not something I ever anticipated we'd ever get, but, you can instantly kill people with a throwing knife. That's the best melee build we've had, and you can carry loads of throwing knives depending on how many of the skills you have, so you can go crazy on throwing knives and keep just knifing people, and then if you have the skills to pick it up from ammo boxes, you'll get knives back. There's some really cool stuff here that you can mix together in interesting ways, and I have not explored all of it yet. For the record, I want to make this clear. I streamed last night, and I just had to talk about the system because I really liked it, and also as kind of a benchmark. So if you're someone watching this who's not played Payday 3 in a while and you're thinking it's now a good time to get back in, there genuinely, and I mean this sincerely, has never been a better time. You've still got some core problems with the game, like the lack of RNG in the base heists. Once that gets touched up, we're going to be laughing, honestly. But the amount of customization you can do with skills here had me just testing out my builds, killing cops, trading hostages, to the point where there was a moment on stream last night where I stopped and went, I've just got sucked in here and I'm not even progressing the objective. That's how much I'm enjoying it. That's not happened since launch. That genuinely hasn't happened. But one thing I've heard people talking about is shotgun skills. So what I thought would be a fun thing to do in this video is to craft a little shotgun build real quick, put something together. It doesn't have to be an amazing build, but try it out and see how it handles in-game. That's the plan for today. Because for now, all I've done is do a stealth build, and also, you probably saw it, I have my filthy casual build somewhat ready to go-ish, but I made this build called the Hostager trademark, which is a very, very interesting one, and I think I may well make a separate video on this, because I kind of came up with an idea where you came up with a build where you didn't have any specialized skills in weapons, so you were very much baseline with how you dealt damage, but you had every single trade skill possible, and either every single ammo skill or every single health skill possible, and what it meant was every time an assault ended, if you had some hostages, you could trade them and get a ton of doctor bags to keep your team going. It's ideal for something like Cook-Off, and I really thought that was a good build to run with, so I think I will make that video at some point. Beyond that, yeah, I tried a few things out, but I haven't done a shotgun build. So, because my builds are incredibly out of order, we're going to go to here, and I'm going to call this one the Shotgunner, and we're going to see what we can do with it, because I've heard some very good things about shotguns. I know that currently the Justicar shotgun has incorrect damage stats at close range, so it's weaker than it should be, but we'll bring it anyway, and we'll just see what we can do with it. I don't know which shotgun people are saying is the best one, but I'm going to bring the FSA 12 because I think I've heard people saying that's quite powerful now. So let's take a little look over the shotgun skills and see what we can do. So for every skill in the Shotgunner branch, shotgun pellets receive a 2.5% reduction to damage fall off. And for every skill equipped, the spread of shotgun pellets reduces by 3% while in ADS. So, So if you go for a lot of shotgun skills, you're going to have a stronger damage range and a lot more accurate ADS aiming. That's very good, okay? A lot more ammo for the stockpile skill. I like that there's that skill for a few different weapon types. That's quite a nice touch. You deal 20% additional damage to enemies in 3 meters, and your close shot range damage bonus increases to 60%. Woohoo! For each shotgun pellet that hits an enemy, your next shotgun reload is 1% faster, up to a maximum of 70%. Oh. And if you ace it, you increase your reload bonus hits to 2.5%. So that means then it would be 28 pellets, and you would get yourself to that point, as opposed to 70. And I don't know how many pellets are in a single shot, but that seems pretty powerful, so we'll see. Annihilation, 4% more damage for each pellet that hits the same target. Increase repeat hits to 10%. Oh dear. Oh, this is too powerful. While reloading a shotgun and for 1 second afterwards, you take 50% less damage from enemies in close range. Reloaded 5 shotguns while sprinting. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Oh dear. So yeah, some of the skills in this are far too powerful, definitely. And the thing that I have with this, the issue I have with people saying this is the end of the game or something, or it's some big problem, is these things can be a lot more easily tweaked now they're in the game, right? Now we have an actual core system added to the game with all these stat numbers. I would expect that hopefully if they get faster updating the game again, they can tweak these things with greater ease. So it's kind of like, enjoy it while it's a bit overpowered, because they probably will nerf some of these things into the ground, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because those skills could still be really strong even if you whacked quite a lot of that stuff down. This skill for the damage, you could have maybe the base be 2% and the ace be 5%. You know, half them both, and it'd still be really, really useful. So beyond that, we should need to think about what else we want to bring. Now, if I'm dealing a lot of damage with shotguns, the question is, do I want to be heavily armored up, or do I want to be quite low on my armor? I wonder about possibly trying for a big armor frame, being kind of a slow damage dealer, a bit of a chains kind of tank type guy. Let's go for chains. Let's see what we can do. That mask looks way too small for his head based on that build. That is hilarious. There you go. It's my gigantic brain shotgun build. It's not really gigantic brain. It's very basic, but we're going to pretend it is, okay? So beyond that, maybe something to do with armor. What have we got? For every skill equipped in the Juggernaut branch, you gain 1% damage reduction to armor plates. Total damage reduction cannot exceed 80. Ooh. For each point of trauma on your current armor plate, gain 0.1% damage reduction for every skill equipped in the trauma branch. Trauma is permanent damage. I also think they should explain how many skills you need for each tier. The fact they don't explain that is a little bit odd. So I'll just ace that anyway then, I guess. Then we have additional charges in armor bags, so that's good. I could bring armor. Maybe I could bring standard armor plates and see how that goes. I could just do that. Headshot kills reduce armor generation time by 0.2 seconds or 0.6 seconds if you ace it. So if you aim for the head with a shotgun, I suppose it's doable. Let's go for an armor build and let's change it up. Get an extra armor bag. Deploying an armor bag fully restores armor for any height to within 5 meters. Now that is incredible. There's a similar skill for that for health. And I wonder if there is one for ammo that I've not noticed. Let me see. No, when you deploy an ammo bag, all heists gain in 5 meters gain 2 throwables. So it's not getting all their ammo back. That would be a bit cracked, to be fair. That would be a little bit nuts. What's Bastion? Disengage from Zapper and Cloaker stun attacks. Automatically deflect the Dozer's melee and Bull Rush attacks. You also face no movement penalty from... Oh, wow. Okay. Let's go for that. And as you can see, once I've specialized fully into 2 trees, I have only 1 point left. So this is the thing. This skill system, the thing I like about it, and this is the thing I'm not seeing too many people talk about, is that you can fully spec into a particular group of skills if you want to maximize their effects. But if you do that, you can't then go for like the jack of all trades thing. You have a balance here. You either spread your points across a lot of things where you get some general increases, or you go fully on the things that you really want to focus on. And that is something that I absolutely love about this new skill set. And honestly, I think I need to go back to Payday 2 and look at the skills there, because I'm not even sure if it was that cut and dry back then. You could do a similar thing with specking in specific trees, but I think you always had enough points that you could do more than just 2 specific subtrees. It just feels very, very nice here. It just feels good. I just basically have to pick one more skill that I want. What shall I go for? I don't know. Extra hostage. So let's bring an armor bag and let's change the mercenary frame. So we have either adaptive plates or resistant plates. Let's give this a whirl. Let's go full armor. I'm going to do delivery charge. Reason being, I realize I didn't talk much about this heist when it came out, but I really like this heist. I think it's incredibly fun, and I kind of wish I had done a video on it, but I didn't because I'm a little bit of a silly gamer. Oh, so I'm a very slow, chunky boy. I mean, some of this, bear in mind, is just stuff I might not have realized since previous, but probably didn't need a suppressor on this now that I think about it. One thing you got to bear in mind here is that I have not the best aim in the world, especially when I've not played a game like Payday for a while. My aim can be pretty bad, but it got slightly better on stream last night, so maybe I won't be a total embarrassment today. Maybe I will, and it'll just be really funny. We'll see. But while we're getting this gameplay and we're talking about the general changes to the game, one thing I need to address is the change to cops, because now cops have armor plates that are visible when you're shooting them. I mean, you can turn it off, but there is a system set in place now. Ooh, that damage fall-off's good. Where you can see the number of armor plates a cop has, and therefore there's a balance between armor penetration and how quickly you get... Whoa, that's good reload. And how quickly you get through their armor to kill the police officer. So there's some interesting stuff there. Also seems like I'm taking some pretty decent damage here. The trauma's not too bad. And this is Overkill. So yeah, so the cops are meant to be a bit tougher. They're meant to be a little bit harder to get the hang of because you have this armor system. It seems quite clear to me from everything I'm seeing in discussion about the update and gameplay, etc., that the balance has not yet been achieved. The cops aren't strong enough to fight back the skills that we have. And as I've said, that can either be countered by making us weaker or by making the cops stronger, or maybe a synergy of the two. But I think at the very least, we need to make the players a bit weaker because the skills are a bit too powerful. I don't want us to feel like we aren't powerful at all, because the whole point of a game like Payday is to feel the power fantasy. That is the whole idea. You want to do a heist and feel like you're unstoppable even if you're being challenged. You know, feel like you're able to hold your own even if you have to pin yourself down at times, or you're facing particular combat struggles. Like, that was a bit mental, that one-shot headshot. Like, look at this. Woo-wee! Even just stunning them, if I'm not killing them, I'm still pushing them back with the stun. Like this, yeah, this is powerful. This is Overkill gameplay, guys. I was never amazing at Overkill at launch in this game. Here we go. Let's just do some free aiming. Not even ADSing, and yeah, it's a bit of a cakewalk. So yeah, like, the game is a bit too easy. It is definitely too easy right now. But I don't subscribe to that being a problem that's going to last forever for the game. Because there are people treating this like this is the end of the world because the game is too easy. This stuff can be adjusted. Obviously, they could have adjusted a bit better before launch. I think they have internal testing stuff running still. I'm not taking part in that, so I don't know the full ins and outs of it. So they definitely could have balanced it a bit better. But if they don't catch something in internal testing, I would hope that because the players point something out to them, they're then able to adapt. So let's see how long it takes them to adapt to this, if they do, and what changes. You got to remember that we have an ongoing new team. There are new people coming in, managers of live service, general managers for the game. You know, Armour doesn't work for Starbreeze anymore. There's a lot of managerial shifts, and Andreas has left. I actually realized I didn't even mention that on this channel because he left since my last video. So both of the former interim game directors now no longer work at Starbreeze. We have a different team at play here who are trying to put their ideas in motion, and you have to give them the time to see how they're going to do with it. If the next update isn't for like 2 months, then, you know, we have a problem, sure. But if they're trying to keep things consistent and try and go back to the old promise of having an update every month, I don't know if there's a big problem here, guys, you know? Let things be a little bit overpowered for a while if we do reach that perfect balance by the end of it. I have also seen footage people have been sharing of cops not responding to gunfire at all. And, I mean, the AI was never perfect in this game, but I think the idea is they've tried to increase cop spawns on higher difficulties, as you can see here. And sometimes that's leading to some confusion and the AI aren't really shooting you when they should be. Obviously, those issues do need to be fixed. That's an ongoing thing that I think predates even this update, I'm pretty sure. There's addressing that needs to be done there. And that's my point. Like, I'm saying from the start, I know my title and thumbnail are going to be super positive for this video. I'm well aware they will be. This update is not without its problems. There are downsides, there are things still to improve. And as I've said, we need RNG. Ooh. I like the cash effect, throwing cash people there. That's cool. Wait, was there an icon on their backs to say what loot they were carrying before now? There wasn't, was there? But yeah, I just think that it's important when you review an update, at least from my perspective, to talk about the woo, to talk about the Mickey Mouse, to talk about all the good and the bad of it. And then, for me, I always tend to weigh up what wins out. Is it the good? Is it the bad? Because for me, at least in my opinion, I think if the good outweighs the bad, that makes it a good update. The synergies the skills offer you and the fact that you can customize your builds far more and that things feel more powerful is not a bad thing. Not inherently. Not at all. I think we are a little bit too strong. I think the difficulties could be a little bit harder, for sure. But I just feel overall we have a gain here. We have an overall improvement between what we had and what we have. And I have not personally felt a desire to casually play Payday 3 in a long time. I just haven't. It's just the state of the game. And I personally now feel that enthusiasm once more. Now, of course, you got to remember, I am just one person playing the game. So, as I've said with, you know, the context of updates, it's all about the mass appeal. It's all about what the majority think. You have to look at the community here. This is a community-driven game. It always has been. You have to look to the community and be guided by what they tell you is good and what they tell you is bad. And you're never going to do things that everyone loves. That's just the nature of it. But if the majority of people are enjoying an update, I would personally say that's a good thing. That shouldn't be a hot take, but maybe it is. I don't know. Let's put an armor bag down. So there you go. It's taking me a little bit of time. Ooh, okay. It's taking me a little bit of time to start getting overwhelmed. 7 minutes to the point where I got my first down. On Overkill, definitely should be quicker before that happens. Definitely should be. Can I put my armor down, please? Thank you. Whoop. Look at that. I like how just deploying it gives me all my plates back. Oh dear, everyone's down. Okay, so the AI aren't particularly strong. That's something, I guess. Wait, hang on, am I gonna die? Whoa! Whoa! Oh dear! Okay, so the AI not perfect. They are a little weaker. Let's go to the armor bag. Wait, did a cloaker burn out my armor bag? Okay, so look, like, maybe it's just my gameplay, but the game isn't, like, you can beat it with your eyes closed. Oh no, there's no marker for it. Oh, game. You could really do with marking that. That would be lovely. Please do that. And at least in solo mode, there's a little bit of a challenge still because the AI aren't quite capable of holding their own permanently. I mean, if I can find the FBI van, I'll be a lot better off. It's trying to find that's causing me a problem, and I don't know the spawns in this heist because I haven't played it enough. But yeah, I find this really fun. I find the ability to go in and be like, let's try a build with certain guns and then experiment and find it satisfying. I find that to be a good thing. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on this update. Now, let's just kind of be holistic at the end of this, because as I said, the update itself is good, but there are obviously still some wider problems with the game and things that need to be improved. So, first off, old heists need more RNG. We've said that a million times. They need to be added. We need to make sure that the old heists are interesting to play because we've played the same ones over and over again, and there's not much new to do other than test new builds out. That will get old after a little bit of time. Second off, there's no offline mode for the game. That's been confirmed, that's not coming now, but as I've said a million times, if that's something that means you won't play the game, Skills 2.0 won't change that. It's not going to make the game suddenly playable offline. That's just the unfortunate nature of it. So that will always be hanging over this game. That's sad, but it's the way it is. The balancing is definitely out of whack. We need to make sure the game is a little bit more challenging on the higher difficulties. That is very much true. I mean, I know I ended up struggling a little bit there towards the end, but I think generally you could increase the challenge there and make a bit more of a fight to get through. Because right now I think it might be a little bit too easy to play casually on the highest difficulty, which, you know, I mean, some people will like that, some people won't. I think maybe you could make it a tiny bit harder. Not impossibly harder, but a little bit. And then just general UI improvements. So, you know, showing us the numbers for what's going on with the skills and how many bonuses we're getting, and also giving us number stats for guns. I've said for a long time I like the look of the bars, and I still do like the look of the bars, but I don't see why you can't have both. I've said that a million times. Put the numbers on the screen, put the bars next to them, or let people toggle which ones they see. Job done. Everyone's happy. But overall, this is a solid update. If they can do some of the things people have been saying, so get more consistent updates, get more content out the door, and change the RNG of the previous heist so they're more varied, that you can play and mix up different things, Payday 3 could end up being a really, really solid game more than it has been since launch. Is it enough to change the tide of the game? I don't know. Because obviously, with offline mode being confirmed as basically killed, there are a lot of people that are never going to touch this game again. And after all the fuss the game's had over the last 2 years and things that have not gone well, there are also a lot of people there who are never going to touch the game again. It is an uphill battle to fight. And, you know, there is an argument of, is this enough or is it too little too late? And I'm not missing the forest for the trees here. This update is great, but it may not be enough to change the tides. We just don't know. So we have to wait and see. We have to see what comes next Payday 2, whether things will change, how they will change, and all that stuff. All I hope is that, as I said earlier in this video, that as a community, we can learn to be a bit more respectful of each other. I think if you want people to come into this community and try Payday 3 and increase the player count so the game lasts longer and gets more life, we need to stop treating everyone with different opinions as though they're idiots or as though they are harming the game. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I agree with a lot of the points made on both sides of the arguments that the game is too OP, some of the skills aren't organized well, but I also agree with people who say you can get more build specialization now, there are more interesting things you can do. You don't have to be performative on either side of the argument. You can debate both things and come to a nuanced middle conclusion without saying someone's an idiot for thinking differently. I realize that in saying this, a lot of people watching this video don't need to be told that. A lot of you are lovely, as you proved in my live streams and in my comments, and I do genuinely mean that, but I just feel like something needs to be said there, because I definitely felt a change in my attitude towards talking about this update between last night and today because of the way I'd seen some of the community behave. So I think it was just worth mentioning that. But all in all, the game is not perfect. This update is not perfect, but this is the best I've felt about Payday 3 probably since launch. Comparatively, honestly. If I can't at least say that and I can't at least get a bit excited about that, then what's the point of talking about Payday 3 at all anymore? Let people enjoy things, you know? It's as CinemaWin says, liking things is more fun than not liking things, and there's a lot of things to like for me about this update. So thank you all very much for watching this video. As always, if you have enjoyed it, please do click the like button. I greatly appreciate it, and make sure you click subscribe to stay up to date with future content. I know I've not been uploading much again. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I have a goal. Not necessarily going to be able to stick to it, we'll see, but I'm hopeful. I have several video ideas I want to get out before the year, and it ties up perfectly to doing a video a week. So I'm going to try and do that. Don't hold me to it, but I'm going to try and do it. So keep an eye out. I'll try and get some more content out and actually make your subscription more justified. Thank you all for watching, as always, and coming back to the channel. I appreciate your support. I hope you're enjoying the Payday 3 update, and as I've said a couple of times through this video, let me know all your feedback down below, all the things you think are good and bad about this update, because there's definitely things that I probably haven't spotted yet because I've not looked fully through the update and all the contents of it, but I just wanted to make this video because I came off stream, as I said, and was like, I want to talk about this. I want to say what's good. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all very soon with a new video. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. I'll see you all in the next one.